What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Jose, The Plain Truth, Arwin, and Sleeping Warrior. Good to have you all.
Yo, yo.
Good afternoon.
Hola, buenos días.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Should we kick off with some housekeeping?
Yes. Hey, onda.
Any signs of curvature, gentlemen?
No signs of curvature.
Nope.
Nope.
No.
Any signs of axial rotation?
Nope.
A ballet dancer?
Specifically of the Earth-based variety, ranty?
No.
Oh, hell no.
What about any proof of gravity?
Nope.
Nope. What was that,
No.
Arwin? Didn't quite catch that. You said that very
Couldn't
sheepishly.
resist, could you? Right, I'm going to move on anyway. Any signs of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
No, Siri. In the same way that they expect us to believe and accept that there's a molten iron core, but obviously they can't prove it. They seem to flip that round the other way when it comes to the atmosphere, which we'll get to in the next housekeeping point. But just be aware that you guys can't prove what's below our feet, but expect us to believe it, right? So the next question, Nathan.
Well, I'm going to ask a different one. Any evidence of the distance to the Sun?
Not unless you assume that Venus is the same size as Earth. No.
Well, that's based on the...
Yeah, it's a deduction. No, we don't know.
Well, is there any
No,
evidence
it's a
of the presupposition itself? Is there any evidence of our Earth-based radius, gentlemen? Any evidence of that?
Nope.
Nope. No?
Okay. So, what about any evidence of gas pressure without a container?
Well, in the same way that they expect us to believe and accept that there is a molten iron core, but they can't prove it, then when we point out that there is pressure, but that necessitates that there needs to be some kind of container, they say, prove the container. And we remind them that they can't prove the molten iron core. So you can't tell us to prove the container, but expect us to accept that there's a molten iron core, because that is called hypocritical.
It's also unnecessary. So my question in regards to how do you have gas pressure without a container is in relation to a specific assertion about what is beyond our view. So space, outer space, the vacuum of outer space. Now, according to heliocentric faith, according to the religious zealots we deal with, they tell us that Earth is an open system. We can leave it and travel to the moon. Stuff does escape from the Earth. So it's an open system. So that is why we have the question. Why do we have gas pressure without a container in your heliocentric world of complete nonsense? It doesn't make any sense. It defies the second law of thermodynamics. It also defies everything a common man would understand about entropy.
So are you saying that we don't need to prove the container, Nathan?
No, we don't. Absolutely not. We are asking a question about an assertion, so I'm not making any assertion about what's up in the sky. I don't know, I've not been there. That would be my answer if someone was to say, well, where's the container? I don't know, I've not been up there. However, it's an antecedent. It's necessary to have a container if you have gas pressure. The consequent being gas pressure, the antecedent being a container. It's not a cause and effect relationship. It's a bit like if you've got a block of wood. You don't need to see that there's been a tree in existence at some stage. It's an antecedent to the tree. If you didn't have a tree in the first place, you wouldn't have the block of wood. However, block of wood is not an effect of tree. Same thing applies the other way round. Tree is not the cause of block of wood. John's example would be ribeye steak. When someone slaps a ribeye steak in front of you, the antecedent is the steak. You don't need to prove there was a cow. It's there because you've got a ribeye steak. Again, cow is not the cause of ribeye steak. Ribeye steak is not the effect of cow. Not if cow, then ribeye steak. It's just an antecedent. It's a necessary requirement to have a cow if you have a ribeye steak. To have a tree if you have a block of wood. To have a container if you have gas pressure.
So following the doctrine of he who asserts must prove, then if the assertion is that we live in an open system, but we have air pressure, gas pressure, then that kind of debunks the idea that we're in an open system, correct?
It debunks the notion of the medium of space. The bit we don't see is the vacuum of space. The bit we do see is gas pressure on Earth. So there's two sections to their heliocentric belief. One is gas pressure, one is vacuum of space. The entire system is open. So we have gas pressure, open system, vacuum of space. So if you want to assert that we can have gas pressure next to a vacuum, you need to demonstrate gas pressure without a container.
Can I respond to that, by the way? Because, yeah, the whole vacuum next to gas pressure within the same container, that is impossible. But, yeah.
Let me ask you a question real quick.
Please, can I finish? I'm going to take long. But if there was a universe around us, then if it is an open system, then there either should be gas pressure everywhere, pretty equal to that of Earth, or everywhere there should be no gas pressure or barely any, and it should all be practically a vacuum.
Yeah, how do we have gas pressure if
Either
there's
one.
no container? Exactly, Arwen.
So my question is, was space always designated as a partial vacuum, or was that a qualification that came up at a later point because they had to make the qualification in order to justify that you could have that system? Because I always assumed, until Flat Earth came along, I never heard that space was a partial vacuum. I always just assumed it was completely devoid and just empty.
Yeah, like the end of the computer game, right?
Well, regardless, my question still remains: is the partial vacuum designation a modern adaptation to the system, or was it always purported to be a partial?
I have no idea. It must have been at least since the Apollo moon missions, right? It must have been at least from that point. But historically, from the likes of Aristophanes and Aristarchus, who knows? And most people thought the Earth was flat around that period. So who knows what they were actually thinking?
So
I think one of the easiest escape from the bowlers to this pressure system question is gravity, because they are going to invoke gravity. They say like, ha ha ha, flat earthers don't understand. There's a thing called gravity that holds the air pressure down, and I hear that explanation, and it's like, oh my god, that's a different rabbit hole on the gravity subject, you know. So
really.
They kind of derail the pressure conversation.
No,
they throw
it
it back
doesn't.
to gravity, you know.
No, it doesn't derail it in the slightest, because the question still remains: demonstrate gas pressure without a container. Now, if someone wants to say, well, gravity, okay, well, show me what you've got to demonstrate gas pressure without a container. Makes no difference to the question. Nick made that little mistake, made the assertion that gravity would be the thing that was a demonstration of how this was possible. I was like, well, how do you demonstrate gas pressure without a container? He was like, Cavendish. And I said, no, Cavendish isn't a demonstration of gas pressure without a container.
Who cares what Nick thinks? Nick is literally Nick is Noel. Nick changed his name because he was being bullied by Pete Shea, of all people, one of the most harmless people in the whole debate. And he changed his name. What a moron. Anyway, can we move on?
Yeah, I'd like to move on to Shawn Hufford, Geostreber, and Soundly, specifically in regards to their assertion that a contemporaneous conversation between Geostreber and Soundly caught by you in a hangout between yourself and apparently only Geostreber was asserted by them to be a previous recording of Soundly and Shawn Hufford discussing something that happened to sound like a contemporaneous conversation between Geostreber and Soundly. Now, our assertion would be that this is an absolute and blatant outright deception and lie. Their assertion is, we will find this information because it is true. Now, it's been a good couple of weeks, maybe a little bit less than a couple of weeks, but a fairly substantial amount of time has elapsed, and I will reassert our position. Geostreber is a disingenuous, lying piece of shit. Soundly is a disingenuous, lying piece of shit. And Shawn Hufford has assisted two disingenuous, lying pieces of shit in an ambition to help them deceive and lie.
So, on the 15th of August, I released a video saying Geostreber is also a liar. And from that video, which was maybe, what we're on now, the 28th. So 15th to the 28th, that's not far off 2 weeks. Basically, their position to try and deflect blame from Geostreber for being fed by Soundly in the background whilst on a one-to-one hangout. Let's be honest, it's not that big of a crime. I'm sure we would all do it if we thought we could get away with it, because a little bit of help from our friends is pretty useful, right? But nonetheless, I thought it was a one-to-one hangout. He stated it was a one-to-one hangout, and it clearly was not. So and this all came as a result of Jimmy, who brought up the point about the moon, the sun being measured by Christian Huygens, based on the assumption that Earth was the same size as Venus. So I went back to a particular hangout that I knew I had with Geostreber, and I heard this background noise that I felt needed a little bit more investigation. And it turns out that Soundly's in the background chatting away to Geostreber. So to hide this, Soundly, Geostreber, Shawn Hufford all had a little circle jerk where they went looking for plausible deniability. Not looking for facts, not looking for evidence, but looking for plausible deniability to try and get Geostreber off the hook. Turns out that Shawn claims to be a self-professed audio guy, yet pushed the idea that somehow the sound was coming through my microphone. That's what he told everybody. That's what everybody believed had really happened. And of course, on Slapgate, the Slapgate joke was basically that. We were putting it back onto them, laughing at them. Now, the point is, Shawn claims to be an audio guy and prides himself on audio. So that means that he's not just an enthusiast. You could consider him by self-proclamation as some kind of expert, right? He knows damn well that sound did not come through my microphone, because he knows damn well that I wouldn't be listening to a hangout with him or Soundly or any of them whilst I'm having a hangout with Geostreber. So by doubling down on Geostreber's claim that he wasn't having a hangout with, or he wasn't being fed by Soundly, he puts himself in a compromised position, because he now has to push the notion that it came through my microphone, and therefore it was an absolute total coincidence that what sounds like a conversation in the background between Geostreber and Soundly was total fluke and coincidence. And obviously that's nonsense. It's a contemporaneous recording, one-to-one, between them two having a conversation. And everybody knows that that's what went on. Yet Shawn's got to push this, and his position is that he will find that hangout. And he's put an all points bulletin to all of his little warriors, all on his side, trying to find the hangout where Soundly said these words in this format. And what do you know? They haven't found it. So these three lying morons are seen as some kind of, authoritative figure. But it's not the fact that he was being fed in the first place. It's the fact that the three of them have conspired against the notion that Geo was lying, against me for pointing it out, and against the reality, which is clearly he's being fed. They've conspired to hide that so that Geostreber can create a little bit of wriggle room so that it doesn't look as though he was being fed. When everybody else can see clearly, he was being fed and he was lying. He was playing a one-to-one hangout, but he had help, right? But they've conspired to try and hide that because he was caught out. So if that's their antics, right? I mean, yeah, you can criticize me for getting something wrong on Foucault's pendulum. Fine, fair enough. I hold my hands up. It was late. I was tired, etc. It were a mistake, but I've never gone out and actively deceived anybody. But these three have. These three have actively and proactively conspired to hide the lies of Geostreber. Geostreber is lying, was lying, and did lie. Shawn Hufford is lying, did lie, and is still lying. And Soundly is and was and still is a liar. These three Muppets are liars. And they don't have evidence to prove that Geostreber was innocent. And until that evidence arrives, they've had nearly 2 weeks now. I think that's long enough to say they're not going to find it. So we've given them literally 2 weeks. We've backed right off them to give them time. And they probably thought that we've forgotten about it. It's gone into the bin now. You three are liars. You three are dishonest. You three are frauds.
So
and
just
all of you knobheads on your side of the fence think that you three are all credible and I'm the one that's the liar. Really? So why are you all conspiring to hide? Why are you three putting it under the mat? Plausible deniability, my ass. This is fraud. This is fake. This is deception. You're all a bunch of liars.
So just to summarise, Geostreber, Geodeceiver, is a liar. He was indeed assisted by Soundly, as is shown by a recording of him being assisted by Soundly. Soundly is a liar. He has assisted Soundly in covering up the deception, and was initially there as part of the deception, pouring his little information, helping Geo the retard when he couldn't answer questions because he's thick. Yeah, so Soundly is a liar. Shawn Hufford, slightly less guilty, but after the fact he has gone and tried to help. Now, he doesn't know anything, but yet he's making assertions about what and isn't the case, and he has made it very clear that he will find this hangout between himself and Soundly, where Soundly says very specific strings of words. So, where is it? I want to see it. It's been plenty of time. If we don't see it, we need concessions that you're a bunch of lying pieces of crap, because otherwise we're not going to stop asserting it. It'll become part of the housekeeping. Just part of the housekeeping. Remind everybody that Geostreber is a liar. These people who assert that we live on a sphere, they're liars. Soundly, he's a liar. So if you want to go and listen to Soundly and his bullshit on his channel, just know this. He's a liar, a proven liar. And he is, to this day, lying. Because he hasn't conceded, even though it's glaringly obvious. We've got a recording of Soundly talking to Geo. This isn't subtle. But they want to make out that it's subtle. Well, where's the recording? Show us.
Yeah, and where's the concessions? Because if I make a mistake, you lot expect me to come out clean with it, and that's what we did. That's what I do. That's what I did, and we've always done it. If I get Ireland wrong or whatever, we say, yeah, we got that wrong. That's the end of it. But you guys can't do that and won't do that, and then have never admitted fault. So I'm asking you lot why the ballers, not Geo and Soundly and Shawn, I'm asking the ballers, why are you ballers not chastising them three Muppets? But you're happy to chastise me. Now, this isn't just being wrong. This is not making a mistake. This is literally an act of deceit. Literally, they are deceiving you. But nobody's going to challenge them. Nobody's going to attack them. Nobody's going to call them a liar. Why not? Why is it only right that? Why is it only the dumb thing that you guys get me and Nathan or whoever else on our side? Because you ballers have been literally evidence right under your nose that Soundly was feeding Geostreber, and you're all going to turn a blind eye to it, aren't you? Why would that be?
Yeah, because they support their narrative, so everything's perfectly acceptable. Deceit, lies, Geostreber being fed, being a complete moron, muppet, and not being able to cope on his own, all of that's perfectly acceptable because they believe it's a sphere, and they push that narrative in the face of every single debunk we put up against them, and they will obfuscate these points continually. In other words, Geostreber will lie to your face if you ask him about it. Yeah, that's the audacity these people have. Just to encourage my audience, go to one of Geostreber's videos. Yeah, I don't care about promoting him. Fine, he's getting a nice advert out of me. Go and ask him why he was being coached by Soundly, and I guarantee you he will lie to your face.
And let's not forget that Shawn Hufford is the guy that claims, and this is genuinely true, this is what he claims. He claims that because of me and him had a fallout on a video. I can't remember what the issue was now, but can't remember what it was. I'm sure he'll remind me. Probably not, because he'll not want to talk about this. But whatever the issue was, Shawn Hufford told me that he was going legal on me, right? So I gave him my postal address so he could serve me with papers. And I knew he wasn't going legal because no one really cares about the internet. No one suffers majorly no one really in Flat Earth. Nobody really suffers any loss because none of us are gaining out of this being in Flat Earth, and that includes the ballers. We're all fighting each other, right? But he claimed he was going legal on me, so I gave him my full address for postal service, and he claims that he had, quote, an ex parte hearing with a judge. That means outside of the courtroom, an ex parte hearing with the judge. And the judge said that on the grounds of insanity, he did not want to set precedent for an extradition to the USA on the grounds of defamation or slander or libel or whatever it was that he said. And I'm thinking to myself, what on earth are you talking about, you utter moron? Now, aside from the fact that extradition to the USA is only ever likely, if at all, on serious espionage claims or defrauding the government or really like Julian Assange kind of thing, yeah, you might get an extradition order then. Might. Not will, might. But it has to be really, really serious. But he thinks that he was able to get a judge outside of the courtroom with a little ex parte hearing to try and extradite me to the USA on the grounds of being wrong on the internet. I don't think so, Shawn. You are an utter liar. You are totally a dishonest liar. Now, you are spearheading this thing with Geostreber to try and get him off the hook. Well, Shawn, without that evidence, and even if you did have the evidence, it wouldn't. You would still be then trying to argue that it was a coincidence that what we heard wasn't contemporaneous conversation. But even if you did have the evidence, you need that evidence to have any credibility whatsoever. No evidence. That means that Geostreber was being fed by Soundly. It means that you and Soundly have conspired to hide this, and you three liars and deceivers are literally deceiving people, yet for some reason, all the ballers, don't take issue with it. But if I'm wrong on Foucault's pendulum for some way, God, I'm the worst person in the world. So where is it when it's the other way around? Where's the concession? Where's the admission? The admission would be that Geo admits that he lied. He was being fed. Secondly, he admits that he then tried to hide it because insert suitable reason. But then you have the concession from Shawn, which would be, yeah, he had no evidence to defend Geostreber, and he was a bit of a dick, and he shouldn't have claimed to be an audio guy and then claimed that it was my sound, because that was wrong, wasn't it, Shawn? And then you've got Soundly. Well, he's got loads to concede, but in this instance, Soundly should be conceding that he was in the hangout with Geostreber somehow, and he was chatting to Geostreber in the background without my knowledge and trying to deceive me in thinking it was a one-to-one hangout when Soundly was in the background, really. So they're the concessions and admissions that should be happening, and they're not doing it. Why is that? And why is it expected from us when we do it? And we're honest and straight talking enough to do it. If we're wrong, we get some. We say it. We put the record straight. We openly admit it, and it is what it is. We make mistakes. But where is it when it's the ballers? So go over to Shawn's channel, ask him where the evidence is for the hangout for Soundly, proving that Soundly said these words in exactly this context in a different hangout prior to December 2017. Ask him where that evidence is, because the guy said he would find it because it definitely is out there. And what do you know? 2 weeks on, not a dicky bird. Wonder why that is, Shawn. So let's hear these concessions and admissions. And as for you, Soundly, CGI birds is all I've got to say to you, dude.
I'm going to just drop in a fun little aside. So I called the police based on a server which has subsequently been shut down called Children of the Flat Earth. And I was accused of breaking the law by Rumpus. So I did a little research. And Rumpus is wrong. There is absolutely nothing illegal whatsoever about me recording a phone call. A corporation, yes. Me, no. Absolutely and utterly preposterous. So, I've just asked Rumpus in the chat to quote the law. So, Rumpus, show me the law that states it's illegal for me to record anything. Off you go.
Yeah. So let's put that to housekeeping. Let's get Rumpus to prove the law that was broken to see what Nathan is supposed to have done. Let's find that law. I know where it is, and I know what the law says. Do you, Rumpus? Obviously not. Go and find it. Toodle pip.
So, just to reiterate, Rumpus has accused me of breaking a law, and I would like him to show me the law he believes, because he's an idiot, that I've broken. Good luck with that, Rumpus, you complete idiot.
Let's not forget that Rumpus is the guy that claims that he went to space.
Yes, that's because he's an idiot. We're all very well aware of how idiotic Rumpus is, and I'm sure he'll be able to dig out a law number with a full citation for his utter nonsense. I haven't broken any law, Rumpus. You're just a moron.
And a liar. And a deceiver.
Correct. So what's the law then, Rumpus? Let's see it. Join the hangout. Bring it up on screen. Let's see this law that I have broken according to you, a moron.
The only time you can join the hangout, Rumpus, is if you actually have evidence of the law on which you cite that Nathan's committed a crime of. If
Yes,
you don't have
you
the
were very
evidence,
specifically...
and I will ask you immediately, you will be kicked.
Right, I agree. Yeah, Rumpus, you have accused me of breaking a law. Maybe you've broken a law. Maybe you've defamed me by such an outrageous and incorrect accusation, Rumpus.
So why is it okay for Nathan? Why is it okay for Rumpus to attack Nathan for quote breaking the law? But it's not. He doesn't. He just ignores soundly Geostreber and Shawn for literally deceiving people into believing stuff that is not true. Have you somehow become a policeman, or are you still the jerk that you are on the internet? Why are you not attacking the three people that are deceiving people like you, people like me, and people in chat? Why are you not attacking them three people on your side of the fence who have deceived people, Rumpus?
And further to that, why would you accuse me of breaking a law when reporting a site that gathers information on children? Why would you falsely and incorrectly assert that I am breaking a law for reporting a server that has subsequently been shut down? That is disgusting. That's the kind of man you are, Rumpus. Not only are you a moron, a Burke, wrong about these laws, you've got no idea about the law clearly, because you stated I'd broken a law which doesn't exist. That would make you a complete moron. He says, I don't see you stating the law. Yeah? Don't seem to see you stating a law, Rumpus.
So, Rumpus claims that you've broken a law. You've now asked him specifically which act, which section number of said law required, which law has been broken specifically with the section number. So, Rumpus, your answer will start with a particular act, then a section number, and then you will cite it verbatim. You will not do what you ballers do, which is change bits and pieces here and there. You'll not add anything to it. You will not remove anything from it. You will cite it verbatim. Do you know what verbatim means? Exactly the way it says.
Oh, here we go. Under the Regulation of Investigatory Powers Act 2000. So what's that then, Rumpus? Let's have it verbatim.
What section number?
You guys still there?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
My hangout's gone nuts.
I'm having a discussion with the people about the vacuum and outer space with Daniel and the guy, what's his name again? Anyway, yeah, they are claiming they have such great proof that it can coexist and that, yeah, it can be extremely low pressure, or it can be a perfect vacuum in an open system of the universe with gas pressure on the Earth. And
oh, right, so it defies
I keep
the law.
explaining them it's impossible. And
It defies-
Sorry,
either
Rumpus.
it will be-
Rumpus says, I can't be bothered. You broke the law. Yes, you're reasserting it rather than showing me the law that I've broken, Rumpus.
What was the regulation that he cited so far?
I don't know, I'm trying to keep on top of other things, so I can't go back to it. Can't be bothered.
No, can't be bothered. So
I
that's
don't need the
another
consent of
assertion.
the other party, Rumpus. Another lie. I don't need anybody's consent. Yeah, you're an idiot, Rumpus. You'd be citing a law that backed what you said. You're not.
So you're full of shit. So somebody that cites a claim without any evidence whatsoever can be dismissed without any evidence. Like, it's called Hitchens' razor. He who asserts must prove, right? So we can't even establish the crime. Yet what we can establish is that Soundly did conspire with Shawn and Geostreber to deceive people, and none of you ballers are going to attack it. And I want to know why. Why is it only fair that I get attacked for what was basically a late night drunken mistake, right? And I admit it. Why is it I get attacked for that, but you morons don't attack for literal conspiring and deceit, which is the worst crime? A late night drunken, well, not even drunken, but just tired, late Saturday night video that I got wrong, or 3 of them conspiring to try and protect Geostreber for basically lying in the first place. Why are you ballers doing nothing about it? Are you all